Yo, what's poppin', Logang? Today we're going to be doing another Patreon rant. This time, it's the most overdue I've been on any of these rants before. For reference, I got this rant in late May, and it is now July 1st. The story behind why it's so late is because, it was late in the month when I got it, so I was like, okay, I'll just lump it in with the June rants, which I also did with one other rant that I got from someone who gave me a rant on, like, I think either the last day or the day before the last of May. And I was like, I'm not gonna, like, do the work to get this out within May. And that was, before I eventually made the rule of, hey, you can only put the rants up until the 16th, otherwise they get lumped in with the next month. Yeah. I actually forgot to reiterate that rule in my most recent Patreon post. I could edit it, maybe, I don't know. But the other reason why this rant took so long is because what I was asked to rant about is, and I'm going to read out the post in full here, it's not actually a post, it's a Discord DM. Alrighty, I want you to listen to these two albums. Plus, She Is My Everything. Oh, I didn't listen to that. Oh, oops. Okay, so apparently I was supposed to listen to She Is My Everything and In Spite of Ourselves by John Prine, but I did not do that. But I did listen to both of the albums, so oops. Weather update. I actually did listen to the songs just now while I was editing the recording. I felt bad about not doing so, and so from here on out, in the video, whenever I say that I didn't listen to the songs, that is no longer true. I did listen to She Is My Everything and In Spite of Ourselves. And She Is My Everything was actually the best John Prine song. You'll hear more about my thoughts on the rest of what I listened to from him later on in the episode. He's quite a bit older in this one, so the album's from the 70s. This one was released in the early 2000s, if I recall correctly. And he's an old man, and his singing isn't quite as good because he is so old at this point. But the actual song itself is a lot nicer, I thought. I found it more pleasant. In Spite of Ourselves was kind of dull. Wasn't too big on that one. Some of the lyrics were, I guess, supposed to be funny. I did not find them particularly funny, but it had a bit of personality, and it was apparently supposed to play at the end of some movie. Not sure what movie it is, but no, I guess that's an interesting factoid about it. The recording I listened to on YouTube was it being performed live, for the record. And, yeah, it was just not really my thing. Just kind of a dull love song with some better than average, humorous-ish lyrics. Back to the main recording. Whatever. But yeah, the two albums were Johnny Cash, The Man Comes Around, which was released in 2002, and John Prine, Sweet Revenge, which came out in like 1973, if I'm remembering correctly. And he says, talk about your impressions on country music going into them, and after you give your thoughts on them, talk about if they at all changed your opinion on the genre. So this is a multi-layered, multifaceted rant topic that I can't actually complete because I didn't listen to the other two songs, but oops, whatever, sorry about that. So going into this, I was firmly of the opinion that country music, not my thing. My exposure to country music is mostly through my brother, who's an addict to it and plays it every single time he's driving the car. And my mom listened to it when I was a kid, and so I got to hear like a little bit of tractor, a little bit of hay, a little bit of, a little bit of play, a little bit of hee-haw in the hay, a little bit how it's supposed to be, a little bit of life. So yeah, that song is seared into my memory because of my childhood experiences. And the thing is, to put this into context just a little bit, my music taste is, well, first of all, I don't listen to that much music to begin with, but even the songs I do listen to are like basically the opposite of country. I listened to Lemon Demon, and recently I've been getting into Will Wood. And both of those guys are like these indie rock uh, individual artists who make these very like fast-paced, easy to dance to songs that are also very wacky, very weird about weird stuff. Like just this morning I was editing and I was like, you know what, this visual is going to take a while, why not throw on Angry People by Lemon Demon? And it's like this fast, intense techno track that is just infinitely catchy. I had a wide grin on my face the entire time listening to it, because it's been a while since I'd listened to that song, and finally putting it on after so many months was like, oh my god, I'm remembering just how good this song is. But yeah, it's like very, very energetic stuff. What I like is the moment where the song explodes, where all the buildup is finally like released into just this absolute burst of energy. So as an example of this, Love Me Normally by Will Wood, there's this part where he just pretty much goes, like, it sounds completely unhinged, and, he, like, the song has, like, this almost dire feel to it throughout the song. But then there's this one spoken part, and it's sort of calm and all relaxing, like, I want you to look to your left, look to your right, all around the clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all around the clock tonight. And I want you to tell them how you love them. I'm forgetting the exact lyrics. Oh, so dutifully, beautifully, jam that square peg in the round hole of their hearts. And, it's about them assimilating the world and becoming completely normal, because that's what the song is about. It's literally called Love Me Normally. It's about sanding away your eccentricities to fit in with everyone else. And it's just like this super fast-paced, energetic bit that really like crams into your head just how like almost horrible of a thing it is, yet at the same time the lyrics of the song are completely embracing this idea of sanding away your edges. And it's really where the message of the song, I think, is its most powerful. This guy just ranting about how you need to sand away every single bit of your identity to fit in with everyone else. And it sounds so dire, yet expresses it so, in my opinion, beautifully. And so that's really what I'm into. These songs with like intense moments, dancey stuff, rock stuff. But country is the opposite of that. And so whenever I listen to it, and also, like, here's the thing, I should be able to relate to country music. I live in the middle of nowhere. I am the deranged Illinois bumpkin. One of my nicknames on Discord calls me. And so I live surrounded by people who live the lifestyle that is described in a lot of country music. I am surrounded by it, so I should be able to relate to it. But I don't really, and partially it's because, like, me and my family don't live that lifestyle, but, like, even still, it's just, like, it's not what I'm into. I'm into weird stuff. That's why I like Studio Shaft and Nisio Eason. I don't like this like low-key country lifestyle, and I also just hate southern accents. They're the worst. And every single country song has the country accent. I'm from Texas. But yeah, so I had an open mind going into these, and the first one is Man Comes Around the World, Johnny Cash. Everyone knows who Johnny Cash is. He's like the most respected country guy, at least to my knowledge. Obviously, I'm not too big on the country scene and don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know like who Johnny Cash is. Everyone knows who he is. Even non-country fans like Johnny Cash. And when I was first getting into the album, I was putting it on while I was drawing, because, I'm working, like, around the clock on this V2 video, and so even doing the rant stuff, which should be productive work, I'm still, like, mixing and matching it with other productive work. So there you go. That's what my schedule is like right now. But I listened to it, and Yeah, I listened to the album in 2 sessions because I finished the drawing and was like, okay, I'm gonna put this album on pause for a while. And so, at the beginning, I wasn't huge on it, but I did see the appeal. Johnny Cash's voice is very like deep and trying to describe. It's very soothing, right? He's got a deep voice, and like he's a good singer, right? He's got a good voice. It's very distinct, very unique, very easy to listen to, and so you know, like a lot of his tracks are very low key feeling. And God, I should probably get my notes up for this. I just realized I don't have those open. I took notes while I was listening to the albums. That's how you know I was doing some work. But yeah, it's like this very low key sort of sound, and still the opposite of what I typically like in music. But uh, like near the beginning of the album, one of the songs that stuck out to me was "Hurt," because "Hurt" had like the song gets louder and louder the more you go through it. And granted, I haven't re-listened to it since I don't know, like a week ago I listened to it, and I should have done that. I should have absolutely done that because that was one of my favorites on the album. And it got the closest, I think, of any song of really getting to that peak of the emotions, the peak of the energy. And it's really just the song getting louder and louder as it goes on to the point where almost, I'm not sure if his mic actually peaks, but it sounds like it damn near does. But I like that. I thought it had a lot of intensity to it, and the lyrics are very, it's about hurt. It's very moody, very angsty, which I also like. I'm 18, turning 19. Of course, I like angsty stuff. But most of the songs are like very, I guess, I don't want to say simple because I'm not a music expert, and so I don't actually know how simple or complex these chord progressions are or whatever. I don't have the expertise to say something on that matter, but to me they sound more, I guess, they don't change a whole lot. No, they don't change as frequently as something like Angry People or, any Will Wood song. A lot of the music I listen to changes constantly, but this one, it sets up like a build up, a chorus, and then it just, repeats those. And it's not bad. I don't think, well, I'll scratch that. The first song was like mostly spoken. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, anytime that Johnny Cash is doing like spoken verses, I sort of tap out because it's dull to me. Doesn't really have the soothing vibes that I planned to get more into that later, because as I went through the album, well, before I get into my eventual country pilling, I guess, or Johnny Cash pilling more so, a lot of his songs follow stories. So, for example, let me look through my notes to get Give My Love to Rose. That's one of the songs that has a story to it. And it's basically him, like, LARPing as, like, this guy who sees this guy dying on a railroad track. And, he's saying, give my love to Rose. Here's all the money I have. Give it to my wife. Tell her how I died. And it was, like, it's a very touching story, right? I enjoyed, maybe it's not, like, catchy in the same way that like a rock song would be, but hearing the story play out was actually really engrossing. I was like, dang, this is like a fun story to listen to. I liked that one. But not every song is, or I guess not every story is as good as that one. There was the story about this guy who like killed a guy for pretty much no reason, and then he gets the death penalty. It does not describe him dying, which would have been an interesting end to the song, but it instead describes him like, looking over, seeing the gallows he's gonna get hung at or whatever, seeing his fate. But the story felt like it didn't really go anywhere, Give My Love to Rose is like such a specific moment in time that has like, you're seeing someone's dying message. It feels like such a complete message of the song, I guess. It's like it doesn't really need to progress beyond that because the entire point is being left behind with a dying message. Whereas with this guy who just shot a guy for no reason and is now facing the death penalty, it felt like there wasn't really much of a point to the song or a point to the story. I was kind of just like, well, where does this go? Oh, he gets the death penalty. Okay, cool. Another story that I wasn't really too fond of was the whole Damn Your Eyes song. It's about this guy who just holds nothing but spite for the world. And he keeps on telling everyone, like, damn your eyes, and I guess he killed someone. Apparently all the protagonists of these why do all of these songs have to do with death? I just realized that. But anyway, it's another song that felt like it didn't really go anywhere because, like, the idea... Okay, so to draw another parallel to, like, Angry People. Angry People is kind of similar in the sense that it's portraying the world as, like, this forever angry place. Everyone is angry all the time, but they're pretending that everything is normal. And it's, like, I guess, kind of a, commentary on society. But the reason why I say I guess is because the song is ridiculous. The way it gets this point across is, and by the way, I'm standing up because I'm in my garage, and I was kneeling, and now my legs have pins and needles, and it's painful. But Angry People is like this. If you take the song literally, it's about people having hate sex and giving birth to angry children who they for some reason give guns. Then the children shoot their parents, and everyone's angry all the time, and they're preparing for, like, this catastrophe all the time. And it's like it's insanity. There's lines like instead of saying the child is birthed with the birds and the bees, it's birds of prey and Africanized bees. It's so silly. And that, to me, is, like, the most entertaining way you could possibly get that point across. Because Lemon Demon is a weirdo. Like, let's be real, And so, that, like, the reason why that message hits so hard is because the way it was told was so interesting. And this guy, who has, like, spite for the world, it's not really told in a way, like, the story doesn't go much of anywhere. He just is spiteful. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. He sat on the wall some more. He kept on sitting. And then, like, nothing happened. He's just angry, and there wasn't really an interesting way in which it was conveyed, at least in my opinion. Obviously, these songs are supposed to be, on some level, more low-key than a Lemon Demon song, obviously, but, I was hoping for a little more, right, from the story. But over time, there was an appeal that I sort of tuned into that most country songs don't have, and where I sort of got why Johnny Cash is the respected one. And it's like, his songs are oddly relaxing, even if some of them are about depression and, like, hate and everything, and death. They're still nonetheless relaxing because, he's, like I said, Johnny Cash has this deep, nice voice. It's really nice to listen to. And where I figured out the appeal was one day when I was drawing, I think it was coloring in Miko Asano for the V2 video. And it was just like I was listening to it, and I was like, I was feeling a little bit of stress over this video. And now that stress is gone, and I'm just, like, in the vibe, like, in the zone, coloring in Miko Asano. And that's what that's an appeal I really appreciate about his songs. And so, made me understand, like, why he's so respected, and it makes me honestly want to re-listen to significant portions of the album and see, like, hey, like, maybe upon re-listening to some of these songs, I can get an even greater appreciation for them than I already did, because early on in the album, I wasn't really tuned into that appeal yet. I wasn't really relaxed. But once maybe it's like a mood thing, where once you're in the right mood, Johnny Cash can lift up your spirits. And the only song on the album that I have re-listened to, and multiple times, mind you, is I'm looking for the title of the song on my notes because I don't have it memorized yet. We'll meet again. How did I forget that? We'll meet again. Don't know where. Don't know when. You know, it's like the part that got me really tuned into this song in particular was the very ending where it's got like the whole choir singing the chorus for like a single time, and it's like this uplifting song, and that specific moment is the most powerful and uplifting. It's about how, you know, when people die, it's like, hey, we'll meet again, you know, don't know where, don't know when, but we'll meet again. I just have that hope, you know. This is a very cheerful, relaxing song, and it, you know, fits in with that appeal that I was talking about earlier. So if the point of this not podcast topic, why did I say that? I guess these rants are kind of podcasts. If the point of this rant topic was to countrypill me, well, you've certainly made progress on that front with Johnny Cash. But the other album was from John Prine. And I listened to the entire album of Sweet Revenge. Yeah, that's what it's called. Okay, good. I remembered something for once. I listened to the entire album in one sitting while I was, I think, finelining June Aikawa. And I didn't take as many notes this time around because I was sort of in the zone drawing. And to be fair, I also didn't pay as much attention to the lyrics as I did with Johnny Cash. I guess I was a little distracted by the finelining process, but in my defense, the sound of a song is supposed to invite you to listen to its lyrics and pay attention. And for Johnny Cash, he's got a distinct thing going on. It felt, like something I hadn't heard before. And so I was, sort of wanted to listen in more. For John Prine, I thought his sound was boring. I did not like Sweet Revenge. And part of this may be, right, like, okay, so this is a 70s country song, and it sounds kind of like bluegrass to me. I'm not sure what the actual genre of this is. I mean, obviously it's country. I'm not sure if bluegrass is an actual genre this album is a part of, but it sounded a lot like it to me. And my dad is really into bluegrass. He's listened to plenty, like, I've been exposed to probably half the genre from what he's listened to, Oh, Dooley was a good old man, he lived below the mill. That song's actually good, by the way, but, it's a bluegrass song. And so, this sounded to me like basically all of the songs sounded kind of similar and blended together, and I really did not get, like, a good distinct vibe from it the way I did Johnny Cash. It was sort of like, well, this sounds the same as all the other country songs I've listened to. And I'm aware that part of this is just not being overly familiar with the genre to begin with. I'm sure that country connoisseurs could, pick out, like, the distinct stylistic tics of John Prine. But the thing is, I was looking at some of the comments in the comments section of a lot of his songs, and they were talking about his lyrical genius and his personality. Apparently, he's really funny. I did not laugh at all while listening to this, even though one of the songs was very clearly a comedy song. It was about how this guy's getting into a car crash, and, he's like, well, he could have been worse. They could have died. And there was this interesting lyric. They could have, like, died, or they could have gotten raped by a minority. And I just had, like, I had coffee in my mouth, and I damn near did a spit take on the drawing that I was making. It nearly got entirely ruined. Coffee making the ink bleed all over the place. It would have been a disaster if I hadn't just barely held in my spit take. And I was like, why? Hold on. Why specify by a minority? I mean, I get that it rhymes, but this seems like a weird way to rhyme that verse. And then I saw that the song was released in 73 and went, yeah, that tracks. That tracks, certainly. That's the most memorable lyric in the entire album, by the way. For the wrong reasons, because it's kinda... it's sus, to say the least. I can't say I particularly appreciated the specification that they were in fact a racial minority. But, not, like, the songs aren't about, or at least not entirely about, the generic country lifestyle that people often associate with these songs. It's not about tractors and drinking beer and fucking your wife. I don't know what country's about. Cornfields. But it is, there's this one song about, Christmas in prison. And another about, his grandpa and grandma and their personalities. And, it's not all generic country schlock. But the sound was so basic and not my cup of tea that I could not really get into it. And the reason why I didn't stop this rant at the very beginning to listen to the other songs and, do my due diligence as the bagel is because they were both John Prine songs. And I saw that immediately and was like, if they were Johnny Cash songs, I probably would have stopped in my tracks and listened to them because I was like, I enjoy his music. I've been Johnny Cash pilled, relatively speaking. It's not really my thing still. It's not really my favorite songs ever, but it has an appeal that I could see myself returning to his music continuously for. For Johnny Prine, not Johnny Prine, John Prine. Why are they both called John? I don't know. But anyway, just like Johnny Cash had this very specific appeal, John Prine did not. He sounded kind of basic. And although I'm told a lot about his lyrical genius, but the music sounds so generic that I can't really be bothered to re-listen to it in order to experience the lyrical genius from the guy who wrote And Got Raped by a Minority. I can't wait to listen to more lyrics written by that guy. Yeah, I'm not very positive on John Prine, and maybe that's a little disappointing, but hey, you got to count your victories. You got me into Johnny Cash, bro. If you're the point of this is to countrypill me, you've made progress on that front in terms of getting me into Johnny Cash. So, conclusion. Final thoughts. First of all, yeah, I'm still kind of sorry. Like, even though I said why I didn't listen to them, I feel kind of bad about it. But actually, I don't even think I need to do closing thoughts. I think I conveyed them quite well already. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.